make this work for you this session. It's not about being intense. It's not about you leaving with loads of things to do. Hello, Sharon. Lovely Sharon. It is about us helping you with just kind of meeting yourself where you're at. So really use this as a time to say, like, where is my business at? What do I want to do as I move forward? We're going to do a little bit of Q&A at the end. If you'd like to ask anything, everybody's at different places. So don't worry what anyone asks or doesn't ask or where you're at. Just make this work for you. And maybe you have absolutely no idea what you're doing at the minute. You're completely lost in any sense of direction, clarity, and everything's just overwhelming. And that's okay too. I'm very transparent. I felt that way quite a bit. I think I even shared it on my stories. I felt that way at the beginning of the year, and it's okay. Yes, I'm more than happy to share those with you. We've got a workbook as well, so let me pop that in the chat. So I would say, because I'm, as if you know me, I like taking action and doing things. So the workbook is to kind of as we go as well, if you work that way. If again, if that's too much for you and you just want to listen in, that's absolutely fine too. But the workbook is here to help you implement and do the work from this session, which you can use repeatedly over. It's something that Sam and I, everything that we share with you is what we use, but we'll use it every 90 days, every month, every week. But again, it's for you to draw out the greatest parts for you that want to help you to move forward. Sam, you ready to get going?
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, let's go. So agenda for today, because I do love an agenda. This is about giving an honest review of where you're at, looking at a bit of your North Star and where you're heading and the priorities that you've got in place. We're going to do a bit on money and metrics. I'm going to tap into a bit of belief. Sam's the incredible person that does all of the numbers work. Your 90-day plan, and then how we approach habits in our businesses as a CEO. I mean, it's really important. So we're going to jump into a real short who are we, if you don't know us, because you would have come from different audiences with ourselves. Sam and I Sam's been a client for a couple of years. Sam also helps me with things. We're very good friends as well. We do love business. We're very corporate in our backgrounds. So let me get in, we'll just share it, and then we can jump straight into making this about you. So my background is very corporate, as I shared. I've been in corporate leadership for most of my life, where I absolutely loved it, did really well working all the way up to the top, and then decided I didn't want a director route, which kind of then meant, well, what do I want? And I always wanted to do my own business as a qualified coach. So I decided to quit, went very quickly into coaching. Many coaches saw I was building a business and making money. Coaches love coaching, but they don't necessarily like the part of the business. So then I started mentoring a lot of people, then realizing actually what I love is the strategy side and closing the gaps. And I can see what people don't see in business. And very much about getting it done, taking action, accountability, and the implementation side. And then this is what's really helped me to then look at, well, some of the work I'm doing is actually literally going in and out of businesses, helping with my teams. Like we were just talking with Vicky there about corporates. I just started doing loads of case studies of corporates and saying, how could I help you? What could I do to gain experience? And that's led me into doing the work around strategy and now some fractional CEO work as well. We all have a story, and looking at this, you'll be able to lean into bits that will resonate for you in your journey as well. For years, I was all around successes like just work harder, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, don't enjoy what you're doing. And then I just hit a point where I was absolute burnout with that, depression, didn't know what I wanted to do in life. So I just had to take the time out. So I was very successful in what you would see online, maybe, or to my friends and family. Uh, as I said, I absolutely love drama, went to look at director, built the business to where I wanted to. I'm able to do all the transformations and make it look sexy and fun. But then I just really hit this point of feeling like, what's the meaning of life? So a lot of the work I've done has been around really stripping it back, looking at the basics and seeing that often what we make come out in our head is not, and how we can really love a business and help others create amazing businesses too, which has led me to have amazing relationships and build the relationship have here, which is with Sam. So over to you.
Yeah, so I'm Sam and I'm a chartered accountant and financial strategist. So I run Harmony Accounting. I set it up back in July 22 when I had a really awful experience in corporate role once I had my kids. So in a way that experience was good because it led me to set up Harmony Accounting. So I mainly work with female online service providers to help you take control of your numbers so that you can build a profitable business that leads and funds your dream life. So I've been doing it for over 20 years now. And the way I work is just I make sure that everybody understands what I'm saying because people find numbers really confusing. So I help to break it down in a simple, completely jargon-free way so that you don't ever leave a meeting or training with me and think, what the hell is she talking about? So I strip it really, really back. And then if we just move on that. So why I care so much about numbers, like I said, I've had 20 years experience as a chartered accountant and I built Harmony Accounting from scratch. So even though I'm really good at numbers, obviously running your own business is completely different. So I learned a lot and leaned into my numbers to help me understand what was happening. I now have helped over 200 online business owners. So I know a lot about online businesses, specifically service providers. And when I was in corporate as well, so I worked in corporate for many, many years, I used to help train all the other accountants and I mentored them in the business as well, which is why I think I can really help to break things down simply so people understand them. And what I noticed is really most business owners aren't actually bad with numbers. They've just never ever had them explained to them properly. So they can kind of look at them, but they don't know what they're telling them. So they get scared that they're doing it wrong. And then they often feel too embarrassed to ask any questions about them like they should know. But really, nobody teaches us this at all. We're allowed to just go and register a business and run away with it, and nobody actually teaches us. So that's why I'm here today to show you that your numbers aren't something that you have to fear. And they can be one of the best tools when you have to make decisions in your business because they are data, they don't lie, they are what they are. So it can be really easy if you know what you're looking for and what they're telling you.
Amazing. Thank you. And that's you at the event we ran last year, which was incredible.
It is, yeah.
So we're going to do a short exercise. I've realized this year how important visualization is. I was listening to Carrie Green talking about it recently, and it was an exercise that I haven't done before with clients. So this is very new, but it should be a bit fun as well. And I did it with my coach recently, and I thought this is going to be really relevant to share here. So I'm going to ask you to, or invite you to indulge me in this for a little bit. So we're going to do this short visualization. So if you'd like to turn your camera off, feel free, but I do want you to just close your eyes for a moment. And I want you to think around your personal life and picture you at work, whether that's at home, in a workplace, maybe it's somewhere working from home. Maybe you're a student, maybe you're full-time, a parent, running business on your own. And I want you to think back all the way back to January at the start of the year. If you had to give yourself a rating out of 10 around how you generally feel about work, what number would that be right now? And I want you to sit with that first number that came to mind, not the number you think it should be or want it to be. If you imagine your work situation, your happiness at home, happiness at work, joy, flexibility, finances, freedom, so many things. How aligned is it to the mission and your values that you set out to have at the beginning of the year? If you would like to, I'd like you to open your eyes and share that number in the chat. You don't have to, but if you'd like to. I just want to see what came to mind. And if anybody wants to come on and share, we'll kick off with Sam. You don't get a choice. Why was yours a 7? Tell us more.
I think I'm really happy with everything, but I do think that I need to delegate more and therefore employ somebody else.
Okay. And last year
But
you employed Alice, didn't you?
Alice,
Last year or the year
yeah.
before?
Sorry?
Last year or the year before?
It was last year. So she was working with me as an associate, but she became a full-time employee September last year. So I think I need to get another one.
Cool. We've got some 7s, some 6s, a 4, 10, a 3. Emma, go with the 6.
Hey, yeah. So back January, well, first quarter was very a sort of pivotal moment for me. I burnt my coaching business down and pivoted into more of the operational work that I'm doing now. So it was a bit of a low point, and then midway through that, things turned, and I think the pendulum swung, and now it's sort of coming back where I'm like left with the reality of the work that I've got and a bit of life stuff that's lifing as well. So
Yeah.
that's how I'd describe that.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Annika, you're mute, lovely.
Just come off mute. Uh, yeah, so I did 10 just because yeah, I feel like things are finally going in the right direction, it's finally getting that momentum
Yeah.
building. Yeah, so really happy at the moment. And it's yeah, I guess I feel like I just get to do what I love. So,
Yes.
yeah, feels like 10.
I've seen your journey as well the last few years, and I know there would have been points where you haven't felt that way. What's been maybe the catalyst or turning moment for you? Because I definitely
Uh,
see that shining through now in your socials as well.
I think it's the consistency that's the main thing.
Yeah,
Like there was times where I just could have given up.
yeah,
People didn't book onto workshops, but I just kept going. I kept doing it, and then yeah, it just started snowballing, I think,
yeah.
Like I'm just
That's
like repeating that again in
it's even been
different.
a bit of me this week where I was talking about like just this review, and I'm like, I just thought I'm just gonna keep going, and if you're bored, you're bored and tough. Unsubscribe or don't follow, that's okay. But you just have to keep pushing through it consistency for the people who need it. Um, Vicky, tell us more about the free.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one because I think I'm maybe coming out of it. So maybe let's hope by the end of this week, maybe that number goes up. But I feel that I'm kind of stuck a little bit because I'm torn between a corporate role that I have to stay doing because I need to keep financial stability for my family.
Sure.
And then I work maybe 1 day a week tops on my business. So to try and deliver stuff, actually get the business going where it should be,
Yeah,
is tricky. So there's just a bit of frustration where I started at the beginning of the year and what I hoped for hasn't really come to fruition.
yeah,
And I just have a bit of frustration because I'm so clipped by needing to be in the corporate world, but I
yeah,
cannot just jump.
yeah,
So it's a brutally honest reflection, but
yeah,
not without the I know how far I've come and I take those reflection points, but I think it's just a level of frustration because I'm kind of stuck.
yeah,
And also within the corporate world right now, it's not feeling great.
yeah,
But that's, yeah. And then there's been a bit of life that's been life thing, which I think, Emma kind of alluded to as well with her stuff. That's, yeah, interesting. But again, that's opened up some new opportunities because of that life experience. So I don't know, but really frustrated because I'm stuck, but I know where I want to go, but there's not so much I can do because I'm not earning the money through the business just yet.
yeah, yeah. I get that, and I get that with mine. Like, I feel like I'm talking to two people sometimes where I do the Instagram world of this side of the business, and then the corporate side is another side, and that's what I'm having to work through with my mentor at the minute and navigate because it's yeah, I get it. And thank you again for sharing that. I always think, and I said it at an event the other day, like the obstacle is the way, like lean into that, and to Annika's point, like the consistency and staying in your lane, as my friend Julie talks about all the time when she rings me, just stay in your lane is so important. Anyone want to share that I haven't given a platform to before we move on? No worries. What I want you to do with that score is see it as it is, divorce emotion, but think around what's one thing you could do today that would maybe move that just by 0.5, 1 point, just so we start to move it upwards in the right way. So we were sharing our stories. I love a story. Many of you hopefully will know this is Karate Kid, and I've always shared this in challenges if I've done them over the past, just to bring people in from the start in terms of understanding, as we said there, we are always having our challenges. And what I always love about this scene in a movie is when Mr. Miyagi tells him about the wax on and the wax off, and he gets him to paint the fence over and over, and he kind of said like, why am I doing this, what's the point? And he doesn't understand it, and he feels he's wasting time, nothing's working, he just wants to get to the end result. So he makes him paint the fence, sand the floor, paint a house, and he gets really, really frustrated. And he says, I didn't come here to paint fences, I came here to learn karate. He even loses his temper at that point. And he says, like, when you actually going to teach me? That's what I've, done everything you've asked. And he throws a couple of punches at him, at Daniel, and he instinctively blocks every single one. And the point he was making was like the wax on, the wax off, painting a fence, sanding the floor. Without realizing it, he'd been learning the whole time. So if we bring that into business, business is exactly the same. Everybody wants that knockout punch, the viral post, the perfect strategy, that magical funnel that's going to work because they've launched it once and it's going to be perfect. And businesses aren't built in the same way. They're built through repeated action. They don't feel exciting in the moment half the time. Like reviewing our numbers every Friday can be pretty boring. Following up with prospects over and over and over 12 times before they say, yes, I'm in. Posting consistently, thinking no one's seeing this and we're just speaking to ourselves. Improving tailoring the offer, blocking out time in diary. All of this feels like, what is it for? But these are your wax on, wax off moments. So please don't lose sight in them, and that repeating them over and over will change everything. And that's why today it's about not leaving with like 100 ideas. It's about leaving with a handful of specific habits, systems, and things you can do repeatedly over the next 6 months to build that consistency and to get the business closer to where you want it to be. So I really want you to think about small actions repeated consistently, creates extraordinary success for us all. Success beats that motivation every time. So today is for you. If you are feeling really busy, you're a little bit unclear, you might be overwhelmed, and you're just wanting a bit more clarity on the things that you need to do next and those decisions you need to make to move forward. And you do absolutely outright refuse to give up on this. This is really set as you're going to make 2026 a very successful year. And you won't be sitting there in a year going, I really wish I'd have changed things as I said I would back in January. So as I shared in the chat, you should have your worksheet together to fill this along. There are only 178 days as of today left. So let's get into it. July is around a point where it can give you real data. And I love data all the time because it allows me, again, I just said this phrase a moment ago, to divorce emotion, just go, where is my business at? What do I need to change or continue to focus on getting close to where I want to be? So we have 6 months left of making the right decisions, really looking at, it says access does knife me in a workbook. That's helpful. Let me just try and open that then for you. Sorry. Let me just try and see. Sam, do you want to just pick up on this one?
Yeah, it says that you need to change the share. So when you share it, that drop down that says for anybody who can access it.
See, share.
And then we won't have to request it.
Anyone with this link, that should be on now. Hopefully. Give me a thumbs up if it is.
Yeah.
Amazing. Good. So this is all around this month, giving you the focus on what you need to do to move forward. So we're going to do a short exercise that is in the workbook. I want you to score life and business right now. I never see them as separate entities. I think they're all very much one together. So I want you to be, again, really honest with yourself around this and put a score for where you're at. And I'd love you to put 1 in the chat. Need some music. Does that come through, Sam?
It worked for me then. When I re-clicked the link, I closed it down, clicked on it again, and it just opened and said made a copy.
Fine. Perfect. What have we got then? Which one is one that you really want to work on? Health. Okay. Fun. Yeah, I'm a bit of fun sometimes. Although I've had 2 months of fun with getting married, but I think that's the problem as well. I just want more fun. Besides business, health. Yes, health I need to get back into. Money, it needs to come in. Okay. I thought you meant no, it doesn't mean as long as which one, Annika? Cool. The money, got lots on health, bit of fun. I think mine's a bit of peace as well. I just sometimes a bit more me time would be nice because my life's been quite busy. Also money, health and relationships. Okay. So again, with this, it's a useful exercise to just check into. If you're a bit like Sam and I, we like to do a weekly CEO every month. And this is part of the exercises you can do just to again check in that rounded approach. Like I said, it's not just one thing in life. But just look at again, like what are the things you're really working on? And for me, I'm always a big advocate. One of my values is around health is a foundation, that we should be really prioritizing our health first to be the best we can in business, and giving ourselves a headspace. Like my run yesterday just needed to happen, to give myself the focus I needed for the week. And then I sleep better, and then I wake up, and all those things naturally have that domino effect. So there's never been a more important time for you to think about, and most importantly, do something different about your business. If things haven't been going the way you want them to go, it's that idea that Einstein talks about, like stop doing the same things over and expecting a different result. So we absolutely need the clarity. And the three blocks I see in business around our growth sit around strategy, skills, and belief. So that's why I want to just jump in a bit and talk around a little bit on a touch of mindset. Is people always say mindset is foundation, 95% is mindset. It has a place, of course. I do believe we need to look at things around our beliefs that we have and knowing that we can rewire and change those. So I want you to think around maybe what you are avoiding because of fear. Is it that you're fearing putting out that offer or talking about what you want in your sales and your marketing because no one will pay you? Is it maybe you'll get it wrong, or what if I fail? Like transparently, Sam and I, and we're not going to sell to you at the end of today. We're here to share with you how we may do something with you in the future, but we just want to find out an appetite for people at the minute. Like, what do people want? What do they desire? What do they need? And then we'll build. So it's like you have to try things, just get out there. And that often inspires people as well because they just see they're in the trenches with you. But think around, what is it you just want to try? Like, is it a need for validation or to be liked? What if you don't know enough on certain things? I certainly felt that when I was looking at doing some corporate work at the beginning of the year, and I felt like I've got a confidence dip again. And once I highlighted that problem I had, I was able to then go and work with my mentor, some friends, my peers, and say, this is where I'm at. And one of my friends said, you're crazy, like you've got all this experience, but that was still where I felt. So it really helped me to then look at, well, how do I create a framework that gives me confidence? And then how do I create an offer? And the offer is something I believe in and I can sell. And then I have an offer to sell. So often we've got a reason for why we're not doing something. And I want you to be really, really honest with yourself. Everything that we share here is tried and tested. So nothing that Sam and I do is ever coming just from hoping it will work. We share things that are strategies, and that's probably our corporate background in us, where it's like, this worked or it didn't work, give this a go. And I'm always very open, especially where I talk around with messaging, in that you have to try a lot of things to see what works and doesn't, and you're going to have to fail to lead you to that success point. It's all those milestones on the way. So what we're sharing today is either what we do, or we work with our clients, because our clients' businesses can be very different and need different support systems in place to help them get the results. And the part of us coming in is to help you say, okay, this works or it doesn't work, let's try this. So we've been conditioned to feel in certain ways when it comes to beliefs, and we need to focus on changing those. So that's what we're going to do here. So I'm going to talk to you from a point of clarity, having the right focus and an intention, and then Sam's going to go on to the numbers side with you. So I just want you to take a few minutes out as well. And this is probably more of a workshop than a webinar, but I do want you to think around what has gone well in the last 6 months. And we're going to give you 5 minutes to just, again, instant thoughts that come to mind. Don't overthink any of this. What needs to improve? So I call this the WIN method, WIN. So what needs to improve, and then what will you focus on next? What are you going to dream big about? What's world class for you in the next 6 months to be known for in your industry and what you do? What makes you different? Why you? Why now? So I'm going to give you 5 minutes. I want you to just write down a few points of answering these questions of what comes to mind straight away. Don't overthink it. If you've got any questions, please pop them in the chat and we'll answer them for you. See. Okay. Who finds the silence hard? I was trying to put some music on and I was like, I'll just give up. I'll try that another time. And Sam said, "Do you want me to sing?" And I was like, "Please, Sam." Um, I'm okay with awkward music and silences. It's quite funny. I had that years ago. I just had to get really used to it. But I get often people don't. Tell us one thing that's gone really well that you want to celebrate. I think that's really important that you lean into things that you're great at. So just share one thing in the chat that came up for what's gone really well that may have surprised you as well. Had a lot of Corbury. Amazing. So good, Louise. That is really good. And they're the budget. They just talk differently. Plant-based grow, yes. Decision to let them can go, really important. Yeah. I think that's really hard for people to do as well. Just say, let some things go. And acceptance as well of some things, how they are. being able to have lots of time out to do things with friends. Yeah, and my team are happy. And that's important. It's so important your team are happy. Don't ever negate that. I was asked to be a guest expert. Amazing. How exciting. Good. Okay. So again, don't make that too hard. Mentioned in the epic. Oh yeah, I see. Like just thinking now, so I forgot that I was in Forbes this year, which was a big thing to do. So you just have to go and do these things, don't you? But you also forget them, which is important. So I know on that, I am really big on we really have to be grateful for things. So no matter how tough life is, like sometimes I will sit a bit that other someone else will have it worse, which doesn't negate my feelings. I think that's important too, that we accept how we feel, but also just be really grateful on things. Oh yeah, two-page wedding magazine. See, amazing, really good. So this gives us the time to come on to focus. And again, this is where I want to just share around. There are so many important things that impact our business. Tony Robbins talks a lot about the state of mind that we need to be in. And I remember when I started the business back in 2022, I went to an event and they said that they gave us 10 reasons why businesses fail. I was like, that's that kind of event. I thought, okay, do I even start a business with this? But one of them was around, they said, emotions, reasons why businesses fail. Hence, I say a lot like divorce emotion. That's why I'm so passionate about doing my health and fitness, because it helps just keep me on a wavelength that I want to, so I see things in the right way. And I know that sometimes if I get a good night's sleep, half of the things I'm worrying about in life, I'm not stressing about the next day. So I want you again to just score these again really quickly. Don't overthink them, just with where you are now, because they'll be very different next week. But what are your satisfaction scores out of 10? 1 being like, it's not good at all, my sleep, and 10 being like, I get a good solid 8-9 hours sleep a night. Sam told me she had 8 hours last night and she still watched the football, which I was very jealous at because I didn't watch the football.
I just planned it well, went to bed early.
You did. Yeah, I didn't. I was knackered, but I knew that sleep was my priority last night. But I do want you to think around these things. Just where are you at? And put which one again is, let's put which one is not the strongest one for you. Put that one you want to focus on. If you're thinking about now to the end of the year and you could say, I've absolutely nailed focusing on that after being on the webinar with Sam and Nat, what would it be? What would yours be, Sam?
Nutrition. I need to eat better. I eat well 1 meal a day. The rest is not enough. Protein, not enough. The things I need.
Nutrition. So my friends Nat and Kat, who Emma knows actually, they're your people for nutrition.
Yeah.
They'll
The
get you
problem
on
is
it.
I don't cook, so I'm kind of limited to what Chris makes me. So I need to.
It's true. Exercise, sleep and exercise. I have a friend that I have a debate about who says that a walk won't help sort out the stuff. And I said, a walk does help. Absolutely. Clears your mind. Sleep right now. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes we hit a block and we're just not productive. So important. Okay, so it's here to think around. When we talk about focus, for me, defining focus means the things I say yes to and the things I say no to. And I think the things I say no to sometimes are more important. So again, just think around like with you with focus right now, what are you saying yes to and what are you saying no to? And is that serving you in the life that you want? And is it making you feel your best to then be your best in business for yourself and for others? So I always look at things in needing what I would say sometimes it's a bit of boring stuff, but it's structure. I love routine and structure in business. And when I look at successful people, when I've read all of the books I've read, it always comes back to certain habits that they have in place that makes them very successful. And structure is always there as the undercurrent. So Sam's going to talk to you a bit about review and profit. I'm going to touch on marketing, messaging, sales and offers, and of course that CEO leadership. And then there's all the other areas that we won't have time to touch on today, but do play a huge part in what we do. Momentum is everything. We heard that word from somebody at the start here, and building that momentum. Maybe you're sitting in a place where you've got referrals, you're very predictable in sales, you have clear offers, you're very confident in what you need to do next. Or maybe you feel a bit of that feast and famine, up and down, you're firefighting, you like, where's that next client? It's all very confusing and things are just compounding and you just feel like you're going to just explode from it. We get momentum and friction. And what we want to do is be able to picture our business like, where are we at now? That's that clarity and that focus. I'm here. And if we want success, these are the things, what we're sharing today, that are going to help you to hit that point and make more money in your business. And then we can look at profit. I want you to think about where you want to be 1 year from now. Is it you're going to put these things into place to give you the structure and the stability you need to get successful in your business the way you want it to be? Or is it you're going to just continue with things how they are and at feast and famine? Or we go to a route of we don't do anything, we just stay doing the same things, it doesn't work and we lose and it's very hard and risky and it costs us. Business is all about supply and demand. And I don't think we talk about this enough in business. I really wish, I sound like those marketing things that they put out, these posts of we don't talk about this enough, but I really feel that the base of a lot of business as well is supply and demand. What we saw before pre-COVID was a lot of supply and demand being quite equal. The pandemic, the reality was supply was lower and then suddenly demand shot up. And now what we're seeing is there is lots of people doing very similar things to us and the demand is feeling less. So again, it's just a state of the current world. So what does this mean to you? Well, for you, I want you to look at your business and there is always a constraint. There is nothing linear, like business isn't linear in this way with growth. You're always going to have one of these problems. And I shared this on, I think, did I do it on a podcast? Or I did it on a reel the other day and somebody said, you've explained it in a really simple way. Thank you. So hopefully I'll share that with you again today. This is demand. So if you have a demand problem in your business, what you will be feeling like right now is that it's like a restaurant with empty tables. You have not got enough people coming in. Maybe you've got all the products on your shelves. So this is how I would have had my supermarkets when I was in retail. I would have loved it every morning. But actually, the reality was I wanted them empty. Or you will see a calendar with lots of open slots. That is a demand problem in your business. If you have a supply problem, what we tend to see is you've got so many people. So like my amazing client, Suze, she helps people declutter their homes. And even more than that, there's a lot of nervous system regulation she does with that. But at the moment, she's got a good problem, but it is a problem nevertheless, if she's got a huge waiting list. So we're having to look at, well, what does that mean? Because we had a demand problem back in March. So let's get some consistency here. It may mean if you've got a product base that you just can't make them fast enough. So that's just, I don't know why it's popped in my head, but like the Stanley cups, it's quite the fad at the minute with influencers and everything like that. Like, let's just say I was supplying that and I didn't have enough. That's a problem I've got. Or your calendar is overbooked. It's time for money, stressing you out. That is a supply problem in your business. So this helps us to, again, lose a bit of that motion to say, where am I at? And what do I need to fix? And I love this approach because very simply, this is what I do and I'll do with my clients is say like, well, where am I at right now? To fix it, there isn't often many things we need to do. So keep it super simple. If you have to fix demand, we're going to have to focus on the visibility, the marketing. So maybe you're doing a lot of organic and we're going to have to talk about, well, how do we go to ads? Where are we going to reach more of your client with the marketing material that you share? Maybe you need to refine a message or the positioning. So maybe you've pivoted and you think that people now don't know what I do. So it's not a very clear message or they're confused. I'm not known for anything, or I'm not speaking and sharing or connecting with enough people. So that's, again, a demand problem we can fix. Maybe it's a sales process that they're really interested and then you don't close. You don't know how to convert and there's a gap there. Or people keep going to someone else who does what you do. So again, this allows us to say, why aren't we converting here and what can we focus on? If you've got to fix the supply problem, I'll use Susan's example, which she won't mind because she's incredible at this, but we've had to say to her, like, we can't really raise the prices necessarily. It's not always the answer, although we're kind of thrown out to us of just increase your prices. That's not going to work in her industry right now because it's very linked with social care and there's a perception, and rightly so, there is a ceiling on that. So what we need to do is work out how can we shift to either doing a group model to bring it in for people who are at the earlier stages of not sure what they need with services she offers. So then she comes in and does the higher ticket work. Maybe we could offer, again, a group program and then that. And a challenging one is, well, how do we delegate and hire? So that can be more risky. Again, we know that sometimes that means that we're going to have to take a loss in profits because we're going to have to hire. And to Sam's point, in what she can answer any questions on if you've got this with your team. But she did that with Alice last year. Like, you are going to have to get to those points in your business where you're going to have to make that jump. So we're able to identify here what is actually your problem. And it's really important because often people say to me, I haven't got enough leads in. It's not, that's the problem. The problem has a depth to it. So really think around what is the problem that you have right now out of these two. So it'll help you get that clarity and that focus to what you then need to do. So then we can fix that one problem. So like I said, it's not really always like there's enough leads. It's the other part of that. It's actually not enough people who need what I do see that, or I'm not speaking to the right people and I'm just getting everybody in who can't afford me. So you have to be really, really targeted. And then we can fix the delivery. So it's never linear. Every time you solve one, and Susie's a great example of this, why I share her as a case study. But then that was a situation we didn't have enough leads back in March. Now we've got too many leads and she's booked all the way through to October. So we've got to fix that, because otherwise, guess what happens? We'll probably be in the same situation in March if we don't really break it down and understand what's the strategy that we need to do to fix this long term. But there's now another problem. And then after she fixes that, we'll go back. So it's very cyclical. But it's, again, you will be sitting here at some place in your business right now as well. So I want you to just sit and think around what is that area that is your number one problem right now. And I just want you to take a second to just think, what is the maybe aha moment or one action point that you're taking away so far from this? Because we'll come to the end and I'm not leaving you with loads of things to do, but just one action thing, think, I need to go and do that. And that would really help move the needle. Sharon, I'm going to pick on you actually. What's your one thing?
Do I have one thing?
One aha moment just that's got you thinking, I need to do that.
I think it's the it kind of made it confirm something for me, because I've been doing Carrie Green's accelerator program, and I spent a lot of time last night on doing my purpose statement because I'm way behind. And it made me realize I do need to change the way I'm doing my business and even the focus of my business.
Sure.
Just something one of your slides, you said just about, is it still what it is? And it's not. Do you know what I mean? I'm still trying to operate it in the way that it has been, when I need to rethink where I'm going and operate.
100%.
And I'm getting an idea of where that is, but it is quite nerve-wracking because it means I may lose clients.
Yeah.
And I realize I need to do that. I may need to do that to move forward. To get the clients I want. Yeah. So
100%.
that's something. Sorry, I can't remember the exact wording, but when I read that, I was like, oh, it's what I just realized yesterday.
That's good. That is really, and I've been there. It's scary. It is scary to do. But like, I've done a lot of work this year on who are my top 20% clients, and I've gone and spoken to all those clients and I've asked for feedback on things. It's really useful, but it's hard to do.
Yes. So it's kind of where I'm sitting at the moment.
Okay, thank you for sharing. It's useful. Again, like I ask people because it's useful to know. I'll leave it here, but you'll get a bit of my style, because I always think it's why these kind of conversations are very useful to see how people work. I would just challenge you though on how do you know you're left behind, because you're not. No one's behind.
No. I think it's just for me. I would rather be
where you want to be.
Yes, where I want to be. But I also believe timing's good. And if I'd done this maybe when everybody else was doing it, because I'm on module 1 and everybody's on module 5, I may not have had the same response.
I get it. That makes sense.
Or the same thoughts that would have led me to, where I'm going. So,
Useful. Thank you. It's exciting. I do like Carrie Green as well. She's epic. Okay, intention. One of my geeky favorite words that I love. So start with a destination. I want you to write down, and don't worry, I'm not going to ask you. I would rather that you write this down honestly. How much do you want to earn by December? And write that down first. Let's get you writing that down. Don't overthink it. And then next to that, I want you to write a bigger revenue goal that actually makes you a bit nervous. Like one that if you said to, like when I tell my husband sometimes my stretch goal, he looks at me like I have 4 heads, which is when I know that that's a real good stretch goal. But I often think that, and I was sharing this at a book launch I was with last week, because talking to Diary, been an amazing client as well, but she talks a lot about moonshot dreams and goals. And she said, like, really having that bold one out there, because you're going to get so much closer to it than if you'd said one that was a bit more limiting because of a belief that you have. So I do want you to have that. And I want you may have good, better, best. Maybe you have it bronze, silver, gold with goals, but really, really have that stretch goal in mind. We need to know what we're working to. Once we've got that destination, what we want, I want you to think around, we're going to look at here a bit about your offers, the customers needed, and the marketing. We're going to go quite punchy just for time, but again, you can use the workbook to come back to it, but it gives you the structure you need to be focusing on the right things at the right time and in the right way. So what we need to do is just think about your offer suite. And when I start working with clients, often I find that they've not got a lot of clarity in that kind of offer ladder stack or ascension model, if you may have heard these terms. I want you to think around which offer right now creates the biggest profit, what you've got, which one drains most of your time that you don't enjoy, because that's what you have to let go. So I know Annika was on my mastermind. I didn't hate the mastermind. It wasn't serving me as much transparently as what it was 2 years ago this year. So I made a decision with my mentor, which was a really hard decision. But then he says, I think we need to stop that to do this other stuff we're talking around. And as I alluded to at the start, some of the corporate work and everything. So there has to be, it's fine. But there has to be a point where I said, what is not serving me as much that I don't enjoy? And what will you happily sell every week? And then like, I would love to sell my VIP day every single week. I could talk about it all day long. I've got one this week actually, but I love that one-to-one element. And what creates the best clients? You need to think around the type of client that you want to work with and be speaking to them. So that's why when I do my little reels and everything online, or if I do content, I'm always saying founders, 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 founders. I've got a client who works in fitness and we talk to, he helps mums. So we only talk to mums. We don't talk to dads. So be really, really clear who are the best clients. Once you've done that, you then need to ask yourself, do those offers hit that goal that you set out? And of course, then that stretch goal. So if you have, let's say offer A, offer B, you can then work out, well, what do those sales look like? This really helps you to break it down step by step. Or is it a bit of a mix of both? But just get super, super clear. So when I started the business, when it was coaching, I was just purely one-to-one. So I had, 90 days to work with me or a year. It was quite a long period, actually. I had those two offers, that was it. So I could work out how many sales I needed to make. What you'll find a lot of what I'm seeing at the moment is as high tickets, and again, this is not exclusive to every industry, which I think we can always be angled at online with marketing. A lot of high tickets working differently, or we're finding that very, very high ticket is relationship build. And that's very relevant when I look at my clients who pay a high ticket. They've probably been a client or known me for 2 years solid. When we're looking at the minute, people are more invested in things like your 297s, your 197s. Jessie Jean just did an incredible launch in America, $297. She massively built an audience and then she sold a low ticket and got that conversion. So for her, that was $1.2 million. One offer, 9 months, solid work. So I want you to just think around there with your offers, whether that will help you to hit that goal. Then you ask yourself one question, are enough people seeing me? So if it's a yes, then you got sales. And if it's a no, then we need to build the demand. This is how we need to focus on our broad audience. So how do we do that? Well, we have to be more visible. We have to get more people knowing about us. So one of the things I challenge clients to do every day is thinking around how are you getting more people to see what you do. Then we need the messaging that speaks to them. So they need to be looking at our content or what we put out and what we do. And they need to not see what are the features and the calls or the WhatsApp, or the community to get with you. They want to see what the transformation is and the result. What will it mean to them? Are they looking at things and saying, this person gets me and that is me. I'm stuck, where they're saying that's the problem and I need the help and they're going to help me solve that problem. And then we need to get some sales. So we need to get people in our funnel, top of our funnel, and we need to get them through to buy at the bottom of the funnel. So bringing that in, one of the best ways that you can focus every single week is by setting out these clear priorities. So then thinking around, if I was to look at all of what I've just shared with you, the 3 most important things I need to do this week are, so for me, it'll be, I might just focus my long-term content. So I do YouTube and I do Substack and I do my podcast. Obviously, I've built those, but those are my 3 things I need to do for visibility. That is long-form content. Then I need to focus on, with sales, I need to be having more conversations. So I target myself to have at least 5 incredible conversations every single day with people who need what I do. So they're an example of a couple of priorities that I have in my business that are like a non-negotiable every single day. So then at the end of the week, I can look and say, well, did I do that Substack? Did I do that podcast? Did I do that YouTube? Did I have those conversations? No, I had 5. Why did I only have 5? What do I need to do and change? Because I know that the more conversations I have, the more clients I'll get. And then we time block. So again, I can work out. So I can say, okay, so every day, 10 to 11 a.m. is lead generation focus. And I repeat every week. So it's kind of that what you see Amazon are really good with, a flywheel effect. This is like a flywheel effect. It just keeps going and going and going. So this is a really useful system to have in your business, and just do this every single Friday and check in with it. So a couple of the habits that I know Sam and I both share that we do is we kind of do that CEO weekly check-in, blocking out that one day. It might be a Monday for you. It might be a Friday. It might be a Sunday. Monthly doing a P&L review, really important. A 90-day checkpoint. So again, not just looking at this every so often or like once a year, really get close to your numbers and what you need to focus on. And a regular brain dump. That's why I said to you about things around what's the health side. Go for a walk, just think very differently about your business. Go and co-work with somebody, go for a spa day. I honestly believe in things like getting out, having a spa day, a bit of me time gives you that ability to just slow down and reflect on what's important. So just for time, I'm going to speed through this because I want to get to Sam. So she's got enough time with you guys. But I want you to think around, with all of this today, you're going to walk away with 3 priorities. So this is the work, if we work together, is what we do, is just get really clear on not loads of priorities, but 3 clear things that you want to do. And I want you to think from today, and maybe just now so far, I know Sharon kindly shared one then, just think about what a couple of priorities so far for you that are coming through. You're then going to just have some simple actions to them, and then how you would review that. How would you measure that success? So 3 decisions. What am I stopping? What am I doubling down on? And what is one thing I'll complete before the end of July? Because this will help you create that momentum that you need. Okay. Any questions so far? I'll share this here for those who have finished already. So this is what we're focusing on. If you would like to join our priority list, Sam and I will be looking at supporting people with everything we're sharing here, getting you set. So like I said, we're selling you nothing at the minute because we want to know what people want and what they need. So if you'd like to join our priority list, you will hear first about it. You will get an exclusive offer as well of joining. We're going to look to really finish this year strong and bring everything together. We've looked at the last few years in our business and said what's worked really well for us consistently as a basic strategies, what are the strategies that are working now, and how can we help you to make sure you round off the most incredible 2026.
Okay, so what we're going to look through is how your numbers are actually telling you the story within your business, which numbers to look at, what they're telling you, and then what you can do to change them if they're not quite where you want to be. So basically now we're halfway through the year. We've obviously got the full first 6 months gone, so we've got a really good point to review what's working, what's not working, and what they're telling us. So my first quick question is, how often do you currently look at your numbers? So there's no judgment here at all. And when I've asked my clients this, a lot of them do say D, like when Sam asks me, and it shouldn't be. It needs to be at least monthly, I would say. But in the chat, what do people tend to do? Let me just move this up. Lots of A's. We've got good people here. So why we need to look at our numbers is because every business decision leaves clues in your numbers. So when there's a big decision to make, and like I had one last year when I was working out whether I go from the 4 associates I had part-time to 1 full-time employee, the main thing that I looked at was my numbers. So when you're thinking about hiring, pricing, launching something, even if you want to start paying yourself more, grow your team, or being able to take time off and not suffer in the numbers, most of the things that answer that is by looking at your numbers. So if you're able to look at your numbers and see if you can confidently afford that, invest in support so that you can take more time off or just pay yourself more, then your numbers are the things that tell you that. So the answers are already there. It's just when you know what you need to be looking at and what they're actually telling you. So let's start here. And before we get into looking at what numbers it is, I just want to say something that I think lots of people need to hear. And I have already mentioned this when I started talking, but you're not bad with numbers. You've just never had them explained properly. And the amount of times that I get on a discovery call, and honestly, I would say about 90% of them just tell me I'm not a numbers person. But honestly, I don't believe it's true. I just think it's just that people haven't had them explained in a way that they need to understand them. So we all sat through everything at school, or people may say, oh, I'm bad at maths, but you don't need to be good at maths to know your numbers in your business, especially if you use software because it does all the calculations for you. But it's just that you start running a business and you're expected to understand what tax is, what profit is, what cash flow, why cash flow is different to your profit, and all about that as well. So it's no wonder that people start to feel overwhelmed. So there's nothing wrong with feeling like you're bad with numbers, but I hope that you leave today feeling not so bad with them if that's you, because there's nothing wrong with you and you are absolutely capable of understanding them. So the biggest mistake I see is people just check their bank balance and assume everything is fine or not fine from that one figure at one time. And I can completely get why this is, because if you don't like looking at numbers and you're not sure what reports to look at, then it's super easy. We can just open it up and we can think, oh yeah, there's £5,000 there, everything's okay. And you either feel really relieved if that's enough to cover your bills, or you can feel really stressed if your VAT bill or your tax bill's higher than that. But the problem is the bank balance doesn't tell you the full story. So it doesn't tell you whether some of that money in there is actually should be set aside for VAT and taxes, whether you've made a profit, whether you can afford to hire somebody, whether you can afford to pay yourself. It's just a useful snapshot as to where you are. So the numbers that actually tell the story and what we're going to look at today is revenue, profit, cash, capacity, paying yourself, and obviously taxes, because we have to pay taxes whether we like it or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through each one and show you how it helps you to make better business decisions. So like I said, the most business owners avoid their numbers mainly because they say, I'm not a numbers person, I don't know what I'm looking at. They're scared that they're going to do something wrong, so they just don't do anything at all. Or it's on their weekly, monthly to-do list, but it just constantly gets pushed back and back and back. So we need to understand them so that we're not scared to look at them, and then we can actually use them to interrogate our businesses and understand where we're at and where we can go. So when you start to look at your business as the CEO that we all are, instead of asking how much is in the bank, what a CEO would ask is different questions. So they ask, can I afford to hire? And they know that they can look at the numbers and see that. Can I pay myself more? Is this offer profitable? And can I scale this? Like Natalie said, if we've got an income goal of say 100k, but it would mean selling thousands and thousands of our offer, but our audience is so small and that is just not possible, then we know that we can't scale that way. So we'd need to look at our offers differently. But that's by looking at your numbers. And if you need to be able to hire somebody in to be able to scale like that, we need to know if we can afford to do that. So when we become confident with our numbers, it makes the decisions in our business a hell of a lot easier. So the first one we're going to look at is revenue. Now, most business owners, I would say, roughly know what their revenue is. It tends to be the number that everybody celebrates. So you'll see online, it's like, I've had 100k month, I hit 6 figures, I had my biggest launch ever. And don't get me wrong, that's brilliant, it's amazing. But it's not the question that we should really be answering. So the question that revenue answers is demand growing? So is demand for my business actually growing? Are more people buying from me? Are my offers attracting the right type of people that you want to work with? So if your revenue is growing, it's usually a good sign that there is demand for what you do. But the important bit is revenue on its own doesn't tell you whether your business is healthy, because you can keep increasing your revenue, but you might not be making any money off of it. So what we're going to come on to in a minute is when we talk about profit. But what I just want you to think about is revenue as a one-off piece of a puzzle at the moment. So for this activity, if you think back to January and what your goal for this year was, if you'd set one, not what everybody on social media told you your goal should be, the one that you actually need in your business to be able to live the life that you want to live, then if you write down what you've done in revenue today for the first 6 months, that should be half of that goal. And if we're not there yet, then that's absolutely fine, but it gives us a rough idea of where you'd expect to be by the halfway point. And it could be that for your business, it's more seasonal. So it could be that you get loads of income in the last part of the year. So it might be that you've like your Black Friday, December type income is a lot higher, but then you would know that. But if you just know what it is, so you just notice it, you don't need to judge it, but it's just numbers are the information, so they're able to tell you, are you roughly where you want to be? And like I said, don't panic if you're behind, because numbers are just information. It's not that you're failing. It's not that you're rubbish at business and everyone else is doing better than you. Instead, what you do with this information is you ask why. So do you really know why that you're behind? Is it that you haven't changed anything and you're still doing something that you know isn't working? Is it that you need more visibility, more leads? Are you doing, like Natalie says, speaking to different people all of the time to create more leads? Or is it that you need a different offer because your offer is just not landing anymore? So it's not judgment, it's just understanding why that is. But if you're ahead, then that's obviously very good. And what you can ask yourself is, what is working? What is it that I am doing that is working? And you do more of that, if you can do more of it. But that's what I would say. If you're ahead of what your revenue goal is for the 6 months, then keep doing what you're doing. And if you're a bit behind, what you need to do is just ask yourself, what does need adjusting, not what is wrong with me. Because it might be that we just need to tweak something. There's nothing wrong with you and what you're doing, but it may just be the way that you're sharing the message of what you're doing needs to change, or the offer that you package up just needs to change differently. So the story that revenue is telling you, so revenue isn't good or bad. So what's important is the trend. So if revenue is growing, that's really useful information. If revenue is flat, then that's also useful information. And if it's dropping, it's all useful information. So it's not that we need to be judged by this, but what we can see is if it's growing, then we're obviously what we are doing, we want to keep doing. If it's flatlining, we need to keep an eye on it in case it starts to decline. And if it is declining, then we need to change things up and decide what we're going to do next. So revenue tells us whether people want what we're actually selling. But the next question is, are we actually making any money from it? So this is my favorite topic on profit, because turnover gets all the attention online. Nobody ever talks about profit really. They sort of say, we want to make sure our offers are profitable, but you'll never, I've seen one person, I think, Alice Benham, who actually shared what her profit was, and everybody else always just shares what their revenue is. And it's because people love talking about revenue because it's the biggest figure. It's the one that kind of grabs people's attention. But like I said, it doesn't tell us much at all. So what matters is what's left over after you've paid for everything you need to deliver that work, and that is profit. And what profit gives you is options, because it allows you to be able to pay yourself more so that you can actually live the life that you want outside of business. It allows you to take time off because you may be able to invest in support to help you. It allows you to build savings and buffers into your business, and it allows you to grow sustainably. And also, like invest in the help. Like I worked with Natalie for 2 years, so my business allowed me to pay Natalie to help me grow my business. So turnover doesn't pay the bills, but profit does. So this is one of the my favorite truths is a big turnover doesn't automatically mean that you have a healthy business. So which business would you rather own? So for example, we have business A here that's got £80,000 in sales, which you might think, oh, that's amazing, but it's £70,000 in expenses, so you're only making £10,000 in profit. Whereas you've got business B, where we've only got £50,000 in sales, but it's got leaner on its expenses, so there's only £20,000 of expenses, meaning you're making £30,000 profit. So I would imagine what most businesses would rather own is business B, because although we've got less sales, we're making more money, and more profit means we can pay ourselves more. So what profit actually tells us is, are we charging enough? Because if you're constantly busy and there's very little left over, it might be that you need, it might not be that you need more clients. It might be that your pricing needs to be looked at, or it could be that what you're like overall, the price of the service might not need changing, but what you're delivering within that service does. And then the other thing that we need to look at is, are our expenses under control? So as businesses grow, and I fell like victim to this myself, even though I monitor my expenses, so luckily I was able to control it straight away, but I was adding more subscriptions in, more software. I then had a team of 5 associates. So what I had to do was take a step back and say, actually, instead of me paying for these 4 different subscriptions, can I pay for just one that does everything that I needed to do? Yeah, you need the time to change it over, but that's where things where you're starting to pay for like £30 here, £20 there, they all start to add up. And you're soon paying for a lot of things when you could just use one system to make it a lot easier. And then that also streamlines your business. And then finally, is your business actually working? Like, not from the outside, not from like what you share on Instagram or what you share on LinkedIn, because everybody else thinks you're doing brilliantly, but is it actually generating enough profit to pay you well? Be able to invest back in your business and put the money aside for taxes, and then still leave you with something at the end, because that's surely what we're all aiming for. So I see like a lot of business owners just chasing bigger and bigger revenue goals, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to grow as long as you know that that revenue does have profit attached to it. And the reason we want profit is because it gives us options. Like I said, it gives you confidence. It allows you to make better decisions without constantly worrying about money. So when you look at your numbers each month, you don't want to just say like, how much did I sell? You want to know, how much did I actually keep in profit in my business as well, because that helps to support your life as well as your business. So the online business trap is what I see in the world all the time, and I feel like I'm just repeating myself, but it's really important, is we're surrounded by messages telling us just to launch more, sign more clients, hit bigger revenue goals. And don't get me wrong, growth is wonderful. And I've seen a lot of growth in my business and it's great. But what we need to get to as well is to make sure that more sales doesn't always mean more profit. So if you need to sell more, but then you need to also like increase your subscriptions on a certain platform to be able to sustain those additional clients, then we need to make sure that we're charging the right amount of money so we're not actually making less as time goes on. So if I give you an example here, so imagine you decide to take on 10 new clients. On paper, that sounds brilliant till your revenue goes up. But what might happen next is you might need more support to be able to service them clients. You might need to bring in a VA, a new team member. You may need more systems and software. And then suddenly you're working loads more hours as well. And all your costs have gone up. So yeah, you've made more sales, but have you actually made any more profit? And it's not necessarily that you might have, but you may not have as well. So that's why instead of chasing more and more clients, we need to make sure that when we're growing, it's making the business stronger as well. So it's actually making it stronger, just making me busier. So I'm doing more hours for not much more profit. So if revenue tells us whether demand is growing, and then profit tells us whether the business is working, the next question becomes, can we actually afford what's coming next? And that's when cash comes in. So number 3 is cash flow. So there's one area that creates the most stress for people, and it's usually cash flow. And it's not because they're not making money. On paper, you could be making money, but because you don't know what's coming in next. So one month feels great. The next month you're thinking, oh my God, can I still afford this? Should I hold off? What if a client plays late? So what I always say is a strong cash flow creates calm in your business. So because when you know what's coming in and what's going out over the next few months, you make completely different decisions. So you're not just reacting to what's happening, you've actually proactively planned what you're going to do. And that's such a different feeling. So I often ask clients 3 really simple questions. Do you know what's coming in your business next month? And do you know what's going out? And if the answer is no, that's okay. You're not alone, but it's definitely something that we need to change, because cash flow isn't about predicting the future perfectly. It's about giving yourself visibility, and it removes any horrible surprises. So it could be that you forgot that your annual expense, like something that you pay for annually, is coming out. But if you're reviewing this really regularly, then you will know that that's what's going to happen. So it might be that it could be a tighter squeeze on cash flow that month, but you already are prepared for it and it's not catching you off guard. So it could be that you've realised you've committed to spending money that actually hasn't arrived in your account yet. So it might be that you need to look at the payment terms that you give clients. Do you invoice everybody at the end of the month? Do you give them 15 days, 30 days for you to pay? But actually you're having to pay all of your bills in the first week of the month. So these are the things that looking at your cash flow can tell you, because it's the timing of when the money's coming in and when it's going out. And when you can look at this and know what's happening, then you can plan ahead, and you've got a plan. And it could, like I say, it could be that it's squeezed, but at least you know that that's going to happen, and it's not just come out of nowhere and you start to panic. So a quick cash flow check that we can do together, and I know we're kind of running out of time, so you don't need to sit and do this now, but do you know what's actually coming in cash next month? Not what your sales invoices say, who's actually paying you in cash, and then what you've actually got to pay out as well. And then the red flags that tend to come up when somebody's got not a great cash flow, a cash flow that's causing them worry, is they're usually surprised by tax bills. So they're always moving money from one pot to another and back to the main account and back again. You're dipping into savings. You're using your savings regularly, even though that's kind of for an emergency. You're actually having to use them to cash flow your business all the time. And it doesn't mean that you're a bad business owner. It just means that your cash flow needs a little more attention. So the good news is cash flow is something you can absolutely improve once you start looking at it. So instead of looking at today's bank balance, you would use today's bank balance as a starting point, then add in what's expected to come in, what needs to go out, and then the amount that's left over is the available cash for yourself. So a quick example here is if you opened your banking app and you've got £5,000 in there, but then actually you've got £2,000 in tax to pay at the end of July, and then you've got some VAT owed as well, and you've got up and coming bills, your actual available cash is only £500. So that's why when looking just at your banking app, it doesn't actually give you the full picture of what's happening. So when people tend to have a cash flow and are able to use it, then they start to get confidence from knowing what's happening. So you're not guessing, and you know that everything's going to be okay. And then you can use your cash flow to start looking forward to say, okay, well, if I did bring support in and I was to pay them £2,000 a month, can I afford to do that? Is my cash flow sustainable in that? If I was to, say, drop an offer because you don't like it anymore and you want to focus on something else, can I take that shortfall in cash for the next few months before I build something else up? And then number 4, paying yourself. So a lot of business owners struggle to pay themselves, and most people, what they do is they say they're paying their team members, they're paying all their software subscriptions, they're paying their suppliers, HMRC, they're basically paying everybody else. And then what happens is they pay themselves what's left. And the problem is that creates stress, because you're effectively treating yourself as the least important person in your business. And yeah, when we start out, this may be what we have to do, but we want to know that we will get out of that. So at the start, yeah, we can pay ourselves less because we're growing, we're reinvesting, we're needing to do that. But it shouldn't be something that happens on the long term, because your business should support your life, not the other way around. And so a question just to think about is, have you paid yourself consistently this year? And what I mean by that is what I try and get a lot of clients to get to is a figure that they can consistently pay themselves every single month out of their business, and they know that that's what they're going to get, because then that makes your personal finances a hell of a lot easier to manage if you know you're going to get £3,000 every month out of your business. And then what you can do is, when you know that you're consistently doing that really easy, then you can start to increase it and increase it. Or it could be that you pay yourself a bigger lump sum when it's a holiday time or when it's Christmas. But if you can get to paying yourself consistently this year, then that can really change the way that you feel about your business as well. And then the other thing is, a lot of people pay themselves last. Like I said, they pay everything out, and then it's like you're the least important person in your business, and you're just going to take what's left. And like I said, it's fine if that's at the start, but we really want to try and change that and not be the case. So your business should support your life, not the other way around. So this is something I care deeply about, because when I started my business, I wanted to make sure I wasn't building it just to have another job. I really wanted to build it to have the freedom, because I've got two little girls who are only 5 and 6, and these next 2 weeks I've got multiple school things, fairs, sports days, graduations, all the things, and I wanted to make sure I could still do all of those things while still growing my business. And I want to spend time with my husband and have holidays and days out. So I wanted to build my business around the life that I wanted, not the other way around. I didn't want it to control me so that I was actually resenting it. So that's what we should all be trying to aim towards. So you want to make it the thing that, not the thing that steals all your time and energy. You want to have your time and energy back for your actual life. So a little bit of fun here is, because a lot of us can be either the CEO or the headless chicken, and it can be that we're a bit of both at different times. So if you are running around busy all the time, answering every email, just feel like you're putting out fires and doing all of the things, but never actually stopping to think strategically, then today is hopefully giving you the chance to step back and put the CEO hat back on. Because we've just talked about paying yourself, and I feel that paying yourself is much more than just money. It's about creating a business that actually supports your life. Like I've said, you want to make sure that you can switch off. And it might be that you do work on weekends, which is fine, but you give yourself time off at other times. That's absolutely what works for you. So this is where a lot of people seem to get stuck, and the business is growing, the inquiries are coming in, revenue is increasing, but then life just feels busier than before. You're wearing every hat, you're trying to deliver all the work, the marketing, replying to emails, the admin, like every single thing, and then you've got to cook tea and do all the rest of the stuff as well. So you become the bottleneck in your business. And that's why when we look at the next number on my list, it's like, this is about having the capacity to actually support your business as well. So number 5 is the capacity, because when we grow, it creates different problems. So at the beginning, we're all focused on finding clients, which is what we should be doing, because we want to start generating that revenue. But then as the business grows, the question starts to change. It's, can I actually, instead of can I get more clients, it's can I actually serve more clients without burning myself out? And that's when it becomes a different challenge, because this is when we want to make sure we've built profit into our business so that we can actually hire people to help us or improve our systems. So one of the questions to ask yourself is, could I take on 5 new clients tomorrow? And it could be that you sit there and say, yes, I've got plenty of capacity to do that. Or it might be that you think, oh no, maybe I'd want 1 tomorrow, 1 in a couple of weeks, 1 in a couple of weeks. So if the answer is no, then your next challenge may not be that you need more sales. It might be that you need to look at capacity. So like I said, growth creates different problems. So a lot of people just think they need more and more revenue, like more clients, but then you have more admin with that, more delivery with that, more support and more pressure. So sometimes the solution isn't always more sales. It's protecting the business you've already built and making sure that everything else within the business grows as sales grow. So growth is brilliant, and I love to see businesses grow. And there's nothing better than seeing a client reach their goals and take on more clients and make their first hire, but it really does need planning. So it can, obviously, growth, it doesn't always solve every problem. So in fact, it starts to create a lot of new ones, because like I've just said, when you've got more clients, and we've got more of everything else as well, and then we've got more money running through the business, so more responsibility. So you need to make sure that you have really understanding where your income, expenses and profit are when you start to grow, because we need to make sure that we can hire when we need to hire. We need to understand that we've got enough hours in the day to support all of the clients that we've now taken on. Should it be that you need to invest in a new system? Can you still pay yourself what you were paying yourself before you had less clients? Or is it that your new clients and the new cost to service them is actually making you reduce what you're paying yourself? And do I have enough cash set aside to pay all my taxes? So your numbers can really help you to answer all of these. So you don't need to just plan for getting more clients all the time. You need to plan for what happens when they arrive as well. So we need to keep looking forward all of the time. because that's how you can build a business that grows sustainably instead of one that just seems to feel like out of control. So now we've looked at revenue, profit, cash flow, paying yourself in capacity. The final number I want to talk through is the one that nobody ever gets excited about, but everyone needs to plan for, and that is tax. So nobody enjoys tax. I certainly don't wake up excited about paying my tax bills. I know they have to be paid. And to be honest, the higher the tax bill, the more money you've made. So that is a good thing. But tax only becomes scary when it's unexpected. So if we know roughly what's coming in and we've put money aside for our taxes, it becomes a lot less stressful. So it's not a surprise anymore. It's just simply a part of running the business. And that's a much calmer place to be. So what I want you to ask yourselves is, do you know how much tax is due? Do you know when you have to pay it? Because obviously if you're a limited company, it's different for everybody. And have you saved for it? If you don't know this, then you can figure it out. So if you have accounting software, if you go into your reports and your P&L report, it'll show you what your profit figure is. So if you're a limited company, then you'll be able to calculate your corporation tax from there. HMRC have actually got a really good calculator. So if you just Google calculate corporation tax, it comes up with a calculator. You type in your profit, it'll tell you how much tax you have to pay. And you can do the same for self-employed as well. It has a calculator for that. So if you don't know this, then I would find it out, put the annual reminders in your calendar. And then what you can also see is if you go into your profit and loss account now and it's showing that you have £50,000 in profit for your limited company, that's at 19% corporation tax. Have I got that in my tax pot? If you don't, then you can come up with a plan to make sure you've got enough in before the date that you need to pay it. But future you will thank present you. So I've never had a client that says, oh my God, Sam, I loved paying my tax bill today. Like that's never ever happened. But I have had a lot of clients tell me how much calmer they felt because they know it was coming. They knew they had enough in their pot, and then preparation removes the stress around it. So we've covered quite a lot over the last few minutes, and I feel like I've just rattled through it. So please go back and go through the workbook, because a lot of the workbook comes up with the questions that I've asked as well. So don't worry about having to remember it all. What I think is if we just look through the 6 points that we've covered, and then think of them as your CEO checklist. So before you launch something new, before you hire or invest in anything or put your prices up, then just pause and ask yourself, so for revenue, is demand growing? Profit, is this actually making me more money? Am I just working harder? Cash, can I comfortably afford my next move? For pay, is my business supporting my life, or am I constantly just paying myself last? Do I actually have the time and systems to grow? And finally, tax, have I got enough money ahead so that future me isn't panicking about my tax bill? So you don't need to be an accountant to understand these, and especially if you've got accounting software, it can produce every report you need to make decisions within your business. So there's a little bit of a reflection exercise here. So I think like Natalie had sort of done this as well, saying what's been working well for you, then also what's frustrating you. So this can be something that you need to change. I did this last year. So we used to work with a certain kind of software that used to really frustrate me every time I worked with it. So we just stopped working with it. What needs your attention and what you're actually proud of. And then if we fast forward to December and imagine that you're looking back on your best year yet, what happened between now and then? What was it that you changed and what happened to make sure that you end the year on a high with your business? And then what's the one thing you'll do after today's session? Yeah, Sharon, just check the numbers. Yeah. I think if you just try and do a reoccurring monthly reminder to check your numbers, then it does become easier. And the more you do it, the quicker it is as well. Yeah, and definitely look at your cash flow, Nico. It's a very, very valuable and useful tool. So if you remember nothing else from today, if you work out this, Yeah. Your strategy tells you where you're going, but then your numbers tell you whether you're going to get there. So when you understand both, you can stop guessing and you can start acting like a CEO. So your numbers are not there to judge you, but they're there to help guide you as well. So you'll be able to understand where you are now, where you want to go, and what you need to do between now and then in terms of numbers. And then you can come back to the strategy of how you're actually going to implement that. And then again, like we said, we're not selling anything. We're just seeing where people are at and what they want. But if you want to join the priority list and hear about anything that me and Natalie do, then if you scan the QR code. And then we've got, why isn't it going on? Any questions at all?